This is Gamer Weekly, bringing you the latest of what the video game scene has to offer. On today's episode of Gamer Weekly, I have Shawn of Afro Ninja Productions, and we'll be talking about his game, Soda Dungeon. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Gamer Weekly. And I apologize for the last 3 episodes. You might have noticed, or maybe you didn't, and I'm just bringing attention to something that doesn't really need attention to it. There might have been a little bit of a popping noise going on with the audio. That was a few episodes that were recorded in a bunch, so we were having some technical difficulties, but I think now we're good. And now that I'm saying that, the studio is probably going to burst into flames. So, yeah. So now we got Shawn. We have you from AKA Afro Ninja, who is most popular for, you probably played some of his escape games and enemy territories and stuff like that. But his biggest game, I would say, is Soda Dungeon.
For sure, yeah, good old Soda Dungeon. I want to say, hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate the invite, and not a problem. So Soda Dungeon is a game that we've been working on. We're just now getting to the point where we can put it onto Steam. We actually put it out a year ago onto iOS and Android, and it actually did pretty well. We weren't really expecting it to kind of take off at all. And but we got a decent response to it, and now finally about a year later, we're just now getting to the point where we can port it to Steam and bring it to a new audience and give it a shot there.
So for those that don't know what Soda Dungeon is, what would be the best explanation for the game?
Basically, Soda Dungeon is I would say a casual dungeon crawling experience. The basic idea is that you run a tavern, or you help run a tavern, and you upgrade your tavern. You get new sodas in the tavern, and those sodas attract new adventurers to the town. And so when they come in, you can hire them. You gear them up, you give them items, you give them stuff like that, and then you send them off into the dungeon. And it's got your basic RPG mechanics, but it's not too involved. And I think what a lot of people picked up on and that they liked about Soda Dungeon is that the way we built it, we added an autoplay feature, and it kind of puts us somewhere in between a standard game and like a clicker type of game, but it's not really exactly either. So you can suit up your team and send them off into the dungeon. But then you can enable auto combat, and they'll try to make the best decisions and play for you more or less. And then you can come back, 10, 15 minutes or maybe an hour later and just kind of collect all your loot, get your items, and go back and continue upgrading your tavern. So I guess that's the sort of the best way to explain it.
And so with the auto battle thing, it can almost be like you can kind of set the game down and you can kind of let it do its own thing. How do you make it to where it does that, but you can still make the game engaging instead of just like, oh, it's just happening over there? Like how do you still like make it to where like you should still be paying attention to the game?
Right. I mean, I think we kind of straddle the line there because, well, for one, in general, the game won't make as good of a decision if you leave it on autoplay. So if you set up your team and you send them into the dungeon, they will, if you do it on autoplay, they kind of will make some stupid decisions. They probably won't heal you at all the right times, and they'll do some really weird stuff. I mean, they're usually pretty good about it, but so for one, there's always the advantage that if you sit down and are engaged in the game, you can you're always going to be able to push your team a little bit farther, and you can also like in the game we have random offshoots where there's a chance you'll run into like a trap or maybe a treasure room and stuff like that. So in autoplay it'll just kind of defaultly if you don't have the right kind of team composition, it'll just skip all those choices, whereas if you're playing the game manually, you can choose to take those alternate paths sometimes. But I guess I say straddle the line because and that is something that people do enjoy about the game, is that if you were to compare us to something like say like Clicker Heroes, another a very popular idle game. In Clicker Heroes you don't have to you sort of don't have to do as much setup. There's not as much preparation. You kind of just get all your upgrades and then you just watch the numbers get bigger. And so just that element of gameplay, we still sort of maintain that, where you can kind of watch your you can check in you can set it to autoplay and check in every 10 or 15 minutes and look in the corner and see how much gold you have and stuff like that. So in a sense, and what's also weird about that is that we've had a lot of requests. The kind of players that like that game want more of that element. They want to basically not even. It sounds like they would rather not even look at the game at all. They want more customization options for the combat so that they can make their team smarter, make it so there's even less intervention on their part. Same for like hiring new members to the team. We definitely have that sort of core crowd of people that love to just streamline, min-max the gameplay and just watch the levels shoot up. So we try to cater to both areas as best as we can, but it can be sort of tough.
I will say this: playing the game on my phone, which by the way, anyone out there that hasn't played Soda Dungeon, it is free to play on your phone. It's on iOS and Android, so play it for sure. One thing that I really like about the game is that you have a no ads feature.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the cool thing about it is that you can either pay $1 or you can pay 1,000,000 gold, which I am not anywhere close to that. So, but I like that's a thing. Like, do you see more apps doing that to where we can pay out of our way out of the ads and stuff?
The honest question is I'm not sure exactly because and I guess this might sound a little funny, but when it comes to mobile gaming, I don't. I do play games, on my devices, but it's not my preferred type of game that I enjoy playing. So like when we started working on Soda Dungeon, I was like, okay, because I mean I'd played mobile games that I basically hated. They had like terrible currency systems, and so I was like, okay, well, like how would if I were to make a game on mobile, like how would I actually do that? And that was both myself and Poxpower, the artist, we would chat a lot about this on how we actually wanted to design the gameplay. And it was sort of like, what, if we wanted to play a mobile game that didn't suck, like how would we structure this? And one of those things is that there's in-app purchases are kind of a necessary evil for the free-to-play format. So you have to have them, but trying to design them in a fair way is also that was one of our main concerns with the game. And I would say I think we didn't get into trouble, but I think at first our publisher, Arma Games, probably didn't realize we were going to offer the ability to turn off the ads with in-game gold. So they knew we were going to charge like 99 cents or whatever. But I don't think they were expecting that every upgrade in the game you could purchase with gold, because I think back near the beginning of the game when it first came out, that was even much cheaper. So 1,000,000 gold is a lot at first in Soda Dungeon, but if you play, if you put some time into it, you'll definitely get to the point where 1,000,000 gold is pretty easy. But I think starting out we had it super cheap, like maybe like 10,000 gold or something like that, and they were like, no, you gotta we get it, but it's got to cost a little bit more than just that. So yeah, and we have a lot of people that play the game, and like you mentioned, that's one of the first things they pick up on. They say, wow, like your transactions don't suck. Like we actually, I've received a lot of messages and emails from people saying they've chosen to buy stuff in the game just to support our policy of not being too greedy with the transactions.
So something about the ads that I feel like always throws me off, and I've never really had the chance to really ask anybody about this because I haven't had too many people from the App Store and that kind of like background, I guess. Like, How do you feel about having ads of other games in your game?
Yeah, it's weird. It definitely is. But I guess for me, it's sort of always it's almost always been that way for me ever since I started pursuing game design as a career or a job. Even back in the Flash days, I don't think I had ads in the Escape games, but the game I did, the series I focused on after that, Territory War, we had I had a partnership with a website called XGen, and they had a proprietary ad serving system that would do sort of similar things. So you would play the game, you would take a break, and then it would pop up an advertisement. And when you're working with outside companies, it's really hard to tell what kind of ads will pop up. But even back then, you would see some of the advertisements for other games. Definitely in the mobile market, it is very specific. I mean, they target exactly, they pretty much focus on just other games to show people. And I guess on one hand, I'm never exactly sure how to feel about it because I never follow those ads. So it's always been a bit of a mystery to me. Like if I'm playing a game, the reason I play games is because I hear about them from other places or someone recommends it. I don't think I've ever in my life like looked at an advertisement for a game and thought I really want to play this game and then follow something like that. So it's definitely weird when like I'm playing Soda Dungeon and then an advertisement with like Arnold Schwarzenegger pops up advertising whatever mobile strike game they're working on.
God.
Um, they're all really stupid. I think we had the like Game of War ads in there for a while, but I don't know. I don't know if it actually like I don't think it takes people away from Soda Dungeon. I would imagine that if those ads appeal to someone, that they would still come back to our game and continue to play. But yeah, it is just sort of weird sometimes to see that. I'll definitely admit.
Yeah, because that is definitely some of the commercials that I absolutely despise. Like you would see Mobile Strike, even like my girlfriend, she's on Tumblr like all the time, and she'll be scrolling through, and that will come up, and I'm like, she has no interest in games, and they're telling her to fucking play Mobile Strike.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, I guess I do understand the advertising. I mean, the amount of money that is put behind the mobile market these days is just like astonishing. Like, just I think the other day I think I was just watching TV or something on YouTube, and some new mobile app comes up, and it features like Christoph Waltz, from like Inglorious Bastards and Hateful Eight and stuff like that. And I'm like, why? Like, why are you doing this? Why are you appearing in these mobile ads? But him, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think they used to drag Kate Upton into it, but whatever. So it's just like to see these huge. The presence they have, or that all this crazy marketing they're doing, it just seems like so superfluous. Like why, but there's money to be made out there, so I do sort of understand it.
It seems kind of like the slot machine mentality, I guess, with it. You make it flashy, and you try to attract as much people to it as possible, and maybe they'll throw a few dollars into it, and some people might become the quote unquote whales of the
Sure.
mobile market. And I don't know. I tried emailing those guys, like them and like Supercell, like the guys that made like Clash of Clans, because like I'm curious about like how that whole realm of theirs works. But I guess they don't want to talk to me, I guess. I don't know.
They don't want to give away their secrets, or they don't want to admit to how shitty their practices are. I don't know, one or the other. But I don't know. Those kind of games, and they're certainly not bad, because I since Clash of Clans is so popular, I sat down and played it a few weeks ago, and it wasn't really my thing, but like it was a well designed game, so I played it. I enjoyed it for the most part for like a little, maybe 20-30 minutes, and then I kind of put it down. It's just when I play a game, I'm like, okay, the game's good, but like why? I guess I'm sort of like, why this game? Like what? It has to be the marketing. Like what else? There's so many good games out there that get lost in the in just the deluge of games on the market. So like I'm just like, why is this one game like so crazy popular? Maybe I didn't play it long enough. I don't know, but it's weird.
What are some games that you would recommend on the Play Store?
Let me see here.
Besides Soda Dungeon, of course.
Besides Soda Dungeon, of course. Probably the games that I end up playing most on mobile. Oh, you know what? It's I don't know if I can actually recommend it because the game is so stupid. Like that's I not to sound pretentious, but I would say that I'm somewhat of a classic gamer. I was raised on like your Super Nintendo, your N64, all that kind of stuff. So when it comes to mobile gaming, I still, to me, mobile gaming is like it's a time killer, it's a time waster, and I think a lot of people see it that way too. So even when I find games that I like on mobile, it's hard for me to be like, yes, this is like a to recommend, to want to recommend this game. Like probably the one that I played recently for a decent amount was it was like Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, I think. Dokkan, I'm not actually sure how to pronounce it. And it like, I don't know if I would even call it a game. It was just sort of like a collect points. It was one of those games where it had a lot of login bonuses. So like every time you open the app, and started it up, it would just throw all kinds of content at you, and it would like you'd log in after 2 days and it'd be like, here's your gold, and here's your tickets, and here's your figurines, and like here's your everything, like all this stuff, and like I don't even understand what it means yet, but I got sucked into it for a little bit because it kind of feeds that like addiction to completionism or collecting things. So like I'm like building a deck of like Dragon Ball Z characters and trying to fight, and it's just this like really convoluted, like it didn't really feel like a game so much as it was just trying to like feed me candy over and over, so like it's like that kind of stuff that I'll get hooked on, but it's hard to be like, yes, this is a good game that I think deserves to be played. So I guess that sort of in a lot of ways I guess describes how I feel about mobile gaming. So
Yeah, like I had a similar game that I had this about the same kind of relationship with. It was Heyday, which is also made by the people that make Clash of Clans, and it's basically just it's Farmville, but like it was a better Farmville, like it was a better working Farmville. Like it did everything that I wanted it to do that Farmville never did because Farmville was garbage. But this was like, oh, this seems like they actually put some like time into this, and that was like a couple months of an endeavor there, like just
right,
like because you could do this thing called weeding, and that was like you just plant wheat and you just keep doing it, and it refreshes like every minute. So like I'll sit there bored at work or something and just keep swiping wheat. And they're like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know. Know.
No, I definitely understand that. I guess I will say that I know that a lot of companies do put sort of larger titles onto mobile that they'll charge $5 or $6, $7 for. Like I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I want to say there was like maybe they ported some of the Rayman games, or like maybe Telltale does their Walking Dead games on mobile. So whenever it comes to like an actual bigger title, those are the kind of things that I'm going to play on console or PC anyway, and not like on my iPad. So, I guess it's unfair to say that I can't recommend any games. It's just that the games I probably would recommend, I tend to not actually play on mobile. So.
Yeah, no, because I saw the same thing going on too. Like I saw a lot of games that I had on Steam that were on there. Like you can play Grim Fandango and it's like $5, but I'm like, man, I would rather just play it on my computer because like playing it on my phone, it's just so hard to like see it, and
yeah,
also
for sure.
you don't feel as like immersed into it. Yeah, because like I would say mobile games, yeah, for the most part they're like almost like disposable entertainment. Like you don't really get too invested in whatever you're playing. Unless it's
Right.
like a game that is like, you can just like you're engaged in by it being so like chill or whatever. Like I guess like with how Heyday was for me, like you're just like it's something that's killing the time, and I'm liking that it's killing my time and it's not dragging me through the mud or whatever. But
yeah, more or less.
But speaking of Steam, and we'll come back now to your game, Soda Dungeon. So you have Soda Dungeon coming out on Steam. So is there any much more of like a difference to it?
So this is sort of like new territory for us. For me and my publisher too. Armor Games has they're starting to build their collection of they're building sort of like a Steam portfolio, but they haven't transitioned a free-to-play game to Steam yet. They've only sold games on Steam, and so it's kind of new all around for everyone. And we definitely, going into it, we had the option of changing the format and charging for the game. And because on Steam, well, on mobile, we have two primary ways of earning income. We do advertisements, and then we charge for in-app purchases. And of course, on Steam, you can't have advertisements, so that already cuts out one of our revenue streams. But it was like we just didn't know how to take Soda Dungeon and price it as an actual downloadable game. And even if we did, we kind of run into this weird scenario where there's like two I don't know if I would say it's not versions of the game, but two ways to play the game where it's almost like, why, if someone sees it on Steam, they might think, well, why would I pay $2.99 for this game when I can just go play it for free on mobile anyway? Like, why, especially if it is sort of a mobile game to begin with, why would I pay for this? And so we did a little research, and I saw that other games on Steam did use the transaction system. So like Click Your Heroes and Adventure Capitalist and some other games do make use of the Steam microtransaction system. So it was sort of like, well, why not try to just maintain one like global experience for Soda Dungeon, whether you're playing on PC or your device or mobile or whatever, just maintain this one general feeling and play style for Soda Dungeon. And then of course that the challenge that presented us was that if we have people that get the game on Steam, especially anyone who played on mobile, they're going to want to play their same save file, because Soda Dungeon is the kind of game where you can sink a couple hundred hours into just farming golden items while you're off doing something else. So, a lot of people aren't going to want to start up a fresh save file and ignore their 200 hours of progress. So we're also working on a save file transfer system. So it's still in a very we haven't put it out to anyone. It's sort of in a private beta between us as the developers. But the idea is that you can basically upload your save to a server, get a download code, and move it over to Steam and back and forth, so that in the least you can transfer your file around and have a reason to want to play on multiple platforms. But aside from that, we're just aiming to have basically the same experience on both platforms. So I do think we will something we did with Android, we added a Android specific pet to the stables, and I think we're going to do the same with Steam, just as a little like extra bonus, like, hey, play on Steam and you get your little new pet to take with you. But
you get a little,
other than that, yeah.
You get a little Gordon Freeman that sits on your shoulder and he's wearing a Half-Life 3 shirt.
Yeah, it's actually always tough with those things to decide like what level of like joke or meme you should go with for, like, because I mean, I can't speak for the artist Pox, like I don't know what exactly he had in mind, but when I think Steam Pet, it's always like it's like, do you make some reference to Gabe Newell? Do you do like a Half-Life joke, or you just forget it? So I think we avoided the jokes, but it's always very tempting to put something just stupid like that.
You just put Harambee in. That's
oh yeah, that's the guaranteed no matter what.
Of course, he's actually that was something we were gonna roll out later, but Harambee is gonna be in Soda Dungeon now. So
yeah, for sure, you heard it here first.
You heard it here first. That's right. We got the exclusive scoops here at Gamer Weekly. So God, but yeah, no, I'm pretty excited to try it out on Steam as well, and I don't know. I mean, I think that's it. I think we're good.
Yep.
So if you guys haven't played Soda Dungeon yet, it's on Android and iOS. If you have a Windows phone, throw that away and get an Android phone.
Yeah, fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. we get questions about that. Not very often, but every now and then.
I can't imagine.
Someone ask about Windows Phone, and I'm just like, no, sorry, like I can't. Like it's not even that I don't want to. It's just that like our development platform just doesn't even include a way to export. I don't think anyone does. Maybe Unity has added that. I'm not really sure, but we can't export for Windows Phone, and I understand it's like the same game, but every time you add a new platform, it just complicates everything. Like when you have, even though the game is basically the same on all platforms, you still have tiny little things that need to change between each one. And so just even adding the Windows Store, where like, I don't know, 5 people are going to download it, like it's like we lose money to do that, really. So
it's not that you don't want to put it on Windows Phone. It's just you can't. But also, you don't really want to do it either. So.
Yeah. It's really both of those.
So yeah, if you want to check it out, it's on Android and it's on iOS as well, and it's free. And if you want to support the developer, which you should, because free to play games are not exactly a cheap endeavor. If anything, throw $1 for no ads. Like, come on, like it's really like it's not. You guys, it's not a big deal. Don't worry. But yes, check out Soda Dungeon. It's an awesome game. It's great to play anywhere, especially with the holidays and everything. You have to be around your family. Play Soda Dungeon.
Exactly. And we also have a you mentioned the holidays. We have a holiday update. Well, I can't say it's a holiday update exactly, because it's technically the same update we did last year. So the game is pre-programmed for the months of December and January to put snow on the ground and spawn some holiday items. But that was actually for last year. But this year I had almost forgotten about it. But it kicks in automatically at the 1st of December. So if you play during those months, you get a few extra items in the dungeon.
Sweet. So yeah.
Anyway, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. Go
no,
ahead.
No. By all means, this is you. You know, I'm here. It's all about you. Do not worry. Yeah. It's if you want to check out the holiday update, then definitely download it the moment you hear this podcast, which will be it'll be out Friday, maybe. I don't know how I'm gonna schedule this whole thing because we're switching to a different system. Sort of. We're working on some things. I don't know. It's complicated right now. I don't know. We're everything's really up in the air. So if you like the show, you can follow it on SoundCloud and subscribe to it on iTunes and Podcast Addict and whatever else thing is out there. What else do I thank you for listening as well. That's always awesome. And share with your friends if you like it, and check out the other stuff as well. And I would do the clickbait thing, like the clickety-clack, the like button thing, but I'm above that. So so we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. I'm not that kind of person. So I appreciate that you guys listen, and check out Soda Dungeon. It's awesome, and it's coming out for Steam. When is it coming out on Steam? Have you figured that out yet, or
not exactly? We have our page marked as we just put the page live, I think, last night. So if you want, you can I think you can put us on your wish list, or you can follow the page or anything like that. We're currently marked as early 2017. The game is mostly done, but we need to sort of iron out some bugs with the purchase system. So once we get that underway, hopefully the end of January. That's what we're aiming for.
So you hear it first, maybe January. So
maybe
we just follow it on Steam. Don't worry. Just don't even worry about it. Just keep it there, and it'll tell you when it's out. So
exactly.
Thank you so much, Shawn, for coming on to the show. And who knows? Maybe we'll be back.
Maybe. Appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. And thank you so much, everyone, once again for listening. Goodbye.